Alright, hello everyone, and welcome on YouTube to the Despair Why Would You Use. The Despair are the Stalker Kunai, and they now have an Incarnon, and they are very good. So, well, this pretty much is just going to be the best Kunai in the game, just like easily, because this Incarnon mode is pretty solid overall. Those of you that have been using the Lex or the Latum pretty exclusively, Lex Incarnon, or the Latum pretty exclusively recently, may be tempted to be like, oh, this isn't that good. But I assure you, it is. So at base here, we have plus 50 damage, and then we have plus 40% direct damage per status type affecting the target. So 50 more base damage, basically double damage. And you also get built-in condition overload effect. That's a lot of damage. Its other choice requires you to have both the Dread and the Hate equipped. And then it gives a pretty, reasonably compelling bonus that gives you, the multi-shot, but it uses ammo thing, which I know is going to negatively affect the Incarnon mode, so this might be the right choice even if you do decide to go with both those weapons. But this is the less restrictive way to build it, and it's good as it stands. Then we do 100% reload speed. Projectile speed is also available here. But reload speed makes you transform into the Incarnon form faster, which is absolutely needed because you're going to be going back and forth really, really often. And then finally, we have plus 18% critical chance and 0.4x critical damage, bringing us to a base of 2x crit multiplier, which is, it's pretty basic for most things. Most things have 2x. This had 1.6, which is really unfortunate. Now it has the basic normal stuff on its main fire, and it more than doubles our crit chance. So we end up with 102% crit chance and a 4.2 multiplier, which is turns out pretty good. On the Incarnon part of it, we end up with 144% crit chance and a 7.1x crit multiplier, which is excellent, and also pretty good status to boot. Also, this weapon seems to proc just tons and tons of heat procs and just whatever's on the explosion, kind of no matter what you put on it, and that's quite good. For projectile speed, if you do want it, you can Exilis for it with lethal momentum and get the projectile speed that you're not getting from your Evolution 3. But I do not find that to be necessary, and it's certainly not worth going from 3 to 5 Forma. If this is your favorite weapon, that's probably the thing to put into the Exilis, but I really would not say that that's worth it, and this weapon absolutely does not need more projectile speed in order to be very, very powerful. Other things that are worth noting. Hornet Strike. So you can put Fulmination, Prime Fulmination, in here for 44% more blast radius, because these kunai do explode. There's also, there's a number of options you could put in there instead of Hornet Strike. You could go Galvanized Shot for even more of that CO effect. You could go with Galvanized Crosshairs for way more crit. There's a lot of things that are options that you could put in here, but I like the upfront and just really, stock simple. Just put more Hornet Strike damage on it. It works. It just, blows through Steel Path. Acolytes hate it. It's just generally good. Also, with this build, you do get a ton of heat procs, so you could absolutely use Cascadia Flare and get 480% instead of our 360%, because you are going to get a lot of heat procs. But also, that is, it's just a different way to do it. If these heat statuses, if this did not fall off all at once, I probably would be compelled to choose it on this weapon. But because it does fall off all at once, I think I'd rather probably stick with Merciless, as it's just going to be longer lasting and just generally more consistent. But yeah, it's a really normal secondary build. It just is really good. Also, I have the wrong enemies in here, which I knew. But let's test against the normals. It can kill the Exos. We were just testing that for some of the other Incarnons that have been very good lately. But yeah, in terms of charging it up, it charges up really fast. You only need a couple of headshots, and then it does this. It has the delayed explosion kunai. And this is a little bit slower because obviously it needs to build up Merciless. It also switches back to the non-Incarnon form really quick. I wish there was an audio cue for it, because you only get 20 of these exploding kunai. And then you obviously swap back to the regular form. But clearly this performs pretty well, considering the death of these enemies. It does very well in Steel Path. It has a little... It's very strange. It is a bit slow at killing a lot of Eximus. But Acolytes just evaporate whenever they are met with this weapon. So, but yeah, we're going to take it to Steel Path and absolutely just murder everyone in Steel Path and blow up some Acolytes and just have a good old time. How's it fair against Archons, or is it just bad by default? Just bad. It's not going to work against Archons. It's just bad against Archons because of the way that it shoots. Archons are a dumb bad system in terms of how they take damage because attenuation is designed wrong as a joke.
Set off the alarms to draw them out, then steal their Kuva catalysts. Predictable. As expected,
Predictable.
Environmental systems.
Yeah, very fast to charge up. Swap in. The reload helps you to swap in and out really quickly. Like, keeping an eye on when you swap back is, like, the main thing, because, like, it's not very obvious when you swap back. I actually wish there was a sound cue for the Incarnon ending on this weapon. I think I mentioned that already, but whatever. It would be really nice, because it is sometimes hard to know that you swapped back. Although that could be me paying attention to chat and not paying attention to my ammo count. Yeah, even in its main fire, if we look here, if you gave this some punch through, honestly, it could probably deal with these crowds. Not really a huge problem. Because it's like, you know, one-shotting these enemies on headshots, and like these are Seal Path Lancers, so they're not exactly nothing. So yeah, you can do definitely some good stuff with just like using the main fire. It will not be ineffectual at killing these enemies, that's for sure. But obviously you want to be using the Incarnon form as much as you can. And you can swap to it real fast. 130% reload speed will do that. I will say, just like the Vosto, actually, it would be really nice if this had just like a little bit more Incarnon ammo. Like 30 instead of 20 would be really, really good. But I also don't think that that's needed. Because, I mean, look how fast I go into it. I mean, it goes back into its Incarnon form, honestly, faster than the Vosto even does, so it's less of a problem here than it was for the Vosto, because the Vosto is, you know, a more particular weapon with who it's killing. So this is kind of more to whom it may concern the enemies. You can see on the Xmas, not that Xmas, that one just died. You can see on some of the Xmas, though, where like they just like last a little bit longer than you'd expect with the amount of damage this is kicking out. I think that's just due to them being resistant to the particular elementals, but because the explosion is all elemental based as far as I can tell, so that's probably the reason for it performing kind of weird on some Xmas. Because if they have like a big heat resistance, or if they're resistant to viral, it probably would do that. Because obviously we're not doing anything crazy like, you know, infinite slash procs or anything like that.
Life support incoming.
Yeah, they hate it. They absolutely hate it. They are not fans. Yeah, this is what if concealed explosives, but good. Also, just to talk about some of the other Incarnons, for those of you on YouTube, here's the rundown. So we're doing a Zylok video tomorrow. Heads up, the Zylok is significantly bugged. The Dread has its the part of its description is wrong on one of its things, but it overall seems good. The Zylok is bugged significantly. Multi-shot doesn't work on it, which is a huge problem, turns out, because like a lot of our damage is multi-shot. Not to mention status. So that weapon's like basically like impossible to properly evaluate right now. So that's consideration. The Sib Air seems like people are having fun with it kind of as a meme. But like people are enjoying it and having a funny, so by all means. And then as for Hate, Hate was already a really good weapon, like one of the best melee weapons in the game. So I don't think it's going to have any significant problems if you choose that one. It also gets light attack projectiles, though those can knock you down, which is the only complaint I've seen about it. So if you don't have like Prime Sure-Footed or a Warframe that is otherwise immune to knockdowns, that might be a problem. Go charge the Incarnon. Here we go. Where's this? Hello there. Excuse me, Acolyte. Oh, wow. My cat armor stripped him. Whoopsies. Anyway. Goodbye, Acolyte. What gun do you want to get an Incarnon? I want the Vacor Marlock to get an Incarnon. I want a Marlock Incarnon real bad. I would love to be using the Marlock again. Yeah, you can be more particular with like how you're throwing these. I will note, like you can throw them a lot slower and still get like way more kills. But just throwing them all and watching everything blow up is funny and fun. It's a good time. So I'm just doing that, you know.
Extraction is available if you need them.
Yeah, we'll get that second acolyte and just get out of here. Hopefully my cat does not incur violence this time so you can see what it does whenever the acolyte still has armor. Though I will admit it is not much different. Sonic or Incarnon. Sonic Or is an interesting one because they'd have to do it the same way as the Torrid where like you don't need headshots probably. But like that's so insanely easy with the Sonic Or. I don't know. Maybe they could do it. I mean, I'd be interested to see any like new different way they do Incarnons, like mixing it up in like doing some weirder shit with it. Like I'm way into that. Because like there's plenty of like weapons they could do something really weird with that like no one cares about. Like on the Zylok, it's like an Opticore trigger. And like that's weird, but no one gives a shit about the Zylok. And so like, you know, doing something weird with it and even having it be buggy, like no one's going to be real sad about it. It's just, you know, it's really weird because it's just not the same situation as we got with like, well, the Boltor needs to be good and the Soma needs to be good because those weapons are like basically historical. So like if they're getting a cool thing, people want them to be good. But with the Zylok and stuff like that and like, you know, just like a whole host of like weird weapons that kind of just like never saw much use. You can get really crazy with it and do weird shit. Oh, hit at least 2 enemies to charge? That could be interesting for the Sonic Or. I could see that. 8 is the best normal scythe. I would say that Reaper Prime is like about equivalent with it. But I mean, with the Incarnon, it'll be the best. That's for sure. Yeah, also, I just want to point out, people were, like, just telling me that the Despair is just okay, and this is the performance of this weapon. I'm just putting that out there. Maybe the test was against only Xmas that those people were doing. Beats me. Like, for me personally, I think it's pretty good. This seems pretty solid. Unarmed, give me my weapon back. How fucking rude. It's okay if okay means kill them all. Yeah, well. It's the AoE brain rot. It's the tiny delay. There's a tiny delay between it hitting them and it like blowing up and obliterating them, and that means it's bad. When in reality, this like kills at a similar rate to like the Kuva Nukor in a lot of cases. Especially in like higher end cases. So it depends. Ooh, an acolyte. All right, I'm gonna chill and just like have my full thing to throw at him. Malice. Got some malice in here. Malicious intent. There you go. That's about what it looks like. I threw 8 kunai at him and he exploded. Oh, somebody took my gun again. Fucking rude. Stop taking that. I thought they weren't supposed to be able to take it if you, like, only have the one gun. I thought that was a thing. Yeah, what this weapon do, though, it's pretty good. You can see even the main fire is like pretty solid. I let so many enemies build up.
The longer you fight, the more successful you will be.
But yeah, it's pretty good. Turns out blowing everybody the fuck up is all right. I had scuffed expectations, I think. That's probably fair. Really think the Despair is just okay. Probably think the Dual Toxicists are just okay because it requires aiming. I'll be real interested to grab the Dual Toxicist whenever that comes back around. I think that week is what? That's going to be Ceramic Dagger Dual Toxicist for me, I think. Whenever that comes back around. That's like 5 weeks away, though, so I don't have to think about it right now. Incarnon, Spira, and Hikosun. I don't know if they just want to do like all the kunai.
What you have learned here.
Is it 5? I think it's... No, I don't know. It might be 4 away. Could be wrong. Oh, yeah. Also, this is silent. So if you're a Navara lover, knives for you. All right, everybody. Welcome to post-Duviri month. And thank you to all of the new and returning patrons. There are a lot of them, and it is hugely appreciated for the support. But we have our $10 patrons: Alex Parnham, Arbiter Daydream, Brutus Salazar, Dylan Dworsky, Ethrain, Hafan, IQ is Thick, James Harsthorne, JC4 Science, Jesse Richens, Joshua Adams, Lou Zanth, Malik X. Williams, Minty Ginja, Michta, Paradise, Tamrielic Wastelander, Zach Zahner, and Zerafir to thank especially. But thank you very much to all of the new patrons and everybody that has jumped on board since like Duviri in this last month. It is hugely appreciated and really helps me run the site and just like get a lot of stuff done and get a lot of guides out. This month, you can expect me to hit up as many of the Incarnons as I can possibly get my hands on, because that is going to be a big focus here as we see that new stuff, and of course work on more guides and things with the free-to-play 3 coming back around and all that. Yeah, thanks everyone.